Hey everyone, this is Mr. Dunkel. For this segment of the project-specific tutorial, what I like to do is talk about adding your pictures to the audio that you already have created. So in a previous video that I just did, I just recorded this basic audio down here. You can tell it over here, it lasts for 20 seconds. And so when you're going to add pictures over text, or excuse me, pictures over narration, typically, or not even necessarily over narration, anytime you're adding pictures, typically the amount of time you want them on screen is about 5 to 7 seconds. Now, if it's a graph or something that you need people to really look at and study, you might keep it a little bit longer. But for the most part, you're just showing us the picture. We want to look at it, but we don't want to sit there and stare at it for 10 or 15 seconds. So I'm going to bring down some images and just show you something that may come in handy. So let's say I've got 3 different images here. Notice too, if I try to put the image on top of something else, I get the red bar around it telling me I can't drop it there. But if I move it to the right spot, it's now green. So when you bring an image down, it's going to default basically for 5 seconds. That's how long it's going to last. But what you can do is you can hold your control key down and select all your different images, and then right click on any of them and choose adjust duration. So instead of 5 seconds, you might want them to last for 7 seconds. You can also apply a Ken Burns effect. And what that's meaning, Ken Burns is a documentary filmmaker who likes to do these zoom ins and zoom outs and movement on the pictures. So you could do that or, take that off. I'm going to take it off for our purpose. Scale photos to fit frame. Sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes it scales too much. So I typically don't do that. And then I'll go in and scale it if I need to. So all I'm going to do is click done. And instead of these being up for 5 seconds, they're now lasting for 7. If you're going to be using transitions, which I recommend, then 7 seconds is a pretty good time, because once you add a transition in, then the picture is only going to be up for about 5 to 6. So if I go here to my transitions tab, and one of the things I ask you to do is either consistently use the same transition or use transitions that coordinate with each other. So for instance, if you want to use 3D vertical flip or 3D flip vertical, and this one or horizontal, these are all in the same vein, so to speak. So we got some cube switches here. So if you use that for one and use that for another, and you're kind of going back between those, then that works out pretty well. But what I don't want to see is like you have the cube flip and then we come up, to a parasol. And this was going to take it a little bit longer. There we go. And then you've got this one, and now you have a paper airplane flying away. It kind of gets distracting if you have a lot of different transitions. But let's say, for instance, I'm going to use the cubes. I'm just going to drag it and drop it in between. Notice it's green because I'm dropping it in the right place. And so now, if I hit play, elements that you need to talk about. See how it did that transition there. And then I can do another one over here. And so anytime you add a transition, it's basically layering one image over the top of the other. So you're going to lose a little bit of time. So you'll notice if I put my cursor here, the blackish picture is up for 6 seconds. 6.12 frames basically, and the Big Bang Theory is up for 6 seconds. So instead of these being up for 7 seconds each, because I added the transition, they're now basically 6 seconds each. So keep that in mind. And that's basically all there is to it. Remember, again, shoot for probably about 6 to 7 seconds, maybe a tad longer, but probably no more than 8 if you're going to use transitions. If you're going to use the transitions, though, don't put a picture up for like 4 seconds and then do a transition, because we're not going to see it very long. It's just going to be up for 2.5 seconds. So that's all there is. If you have questions, just let me know.